also, Timo, when we were in the green room, you reminded us that it is not only World Series Day, but it is in fact World Vegan Day, which is not just a thing. He's flipping. He could be flipping
great.
me off. He's probably flipping you off. And why is he flipping you off? Because he's a vegan. And truth be told, we all know how vegans act. And how do they act? Timo.
They are like exasperated grief.
yes, exactly, exactly.
For good reason.
Heartbroken.
Of course.
Really
all in good fun. The way I set that up, hopefully,
Yeah.
So it actually does mean a lot to you, and it is part of your work. And as we were talking about before, not only are you making the videos, not only are you making amazing and sick and massive tracks with thick ass guitar sound, which hopefully we get into a little bit later as well for all of the guitar people out there, but also you are a fuck you motherfucker radical, stick it right to their face with all of your shit. Fuck you. Do you not support Palestine? Do you support genocide? Fuck you. Do you eat meat? Fuck you. And so let's get into it on this day, the holiday. I'm sorry?
The burden of politeness. Not feeling it.
And actually,
not necessarily, not in every situation, especially of course, it's like there's something to be said, obviously, for not being, hostile or, unprovoked, just being like attacking people or, criticizing them or whatever. There's something to be said about trying to to sort of win people over with not only your actions, but also with your vibe, so to speak. At the same time, especially when it comes to I don't have any patience for anybody that still advocates. I really don't have any patience for people that advocate uncritically for the U.S., let alone what the U.S. is doing in fucking Israel, which is among the worst things that human beings have ever done to other human beings. And it's happening at scale, and it's fucking absolutely abominable, and it makes me want to fucking,
and the politeness, the activity of this fucking dumbass politeness is a part of how we got here.
It's disgusting. Mm-hmm. It's also not necessary. It's important not to be not to be berating people all the time, but also not to be kind of like a overly to trying to protect people's feelings about it, because absolutely not.
Right. And we're all
that's
not one of those we can agree to disagree things.
No, it's a fucking red line. It's honestly whatever. It's and honestly, if we're going to really talk about it, relatively speaking, just to be fair, and I think to be decent, it's one thing if you're really talking about relatively speaking, many hundreds, millions of people within the Jewish community who are actually have to reconcile the legitimate amount of fucking millennia of persecution and collective trauma, but to also have to reckon with the kind of moral incoherence of the Israeli project, imperialist project.
That's fucking
and
crazy.
Then also acknowledge how a collective, the truth. This is from Gabor Mate, the great Dr. Gabor Mate, who just talks about he describes very eloquently how collective trauma can sort of morph into collective psychosis, and that happens. And so, I don't know. For me personally, it's an abomination, and
it is.
I feel like we'll never, the United States, among many other things, will never be able to live that down. It's it's irredeemable. It cannot and never be redeemed. What we're doing.
amongst other things, right?
Yeah, no, that just this is one of the latest, and this is this has been going on for 70 plus years.
Anyway, and actually, the only reason I was bringing that up is because it's they have a history of it. It's basically a country founded on a new place where we can burn our daughters in peace, and
actually y'all are never really trying to redeem yourself. It's the idea of redemption. The United States ever trying to redeem in this way. It's that's how deep it is.
So then okay, that's true. So then what do you do? Like, is it like when does being a part of the society become supporting society?
I don't know. I mean, it depends on who you
Co-signing
are.
society.
I feel like in a way, like this is maybe a little harsh, but it's probably true. It's a sort of harsh. It's like, unless you're actually fighting against it, you're probably somewhere you're sort of end up sort of like attrition towards collaboration. Like it's at some point, maybe either it doesn't, or not. You might end up like getting morally provoked in some way that makes you want to just like, like animate resistance in some way, in whatever way you can. But that's not a sure thing. It's certainly not a foregone conclusion. Then there's well over 2/3 of the United States are like actively advocating for it, so that are like on board with fascism. So the whole thing's a colossal, terrifying train wreck, and it's embarrassing and shameful.
Yes, and I think this like moral like shifting thing I'm very interested in, especially in terms of people who go vegan. I bleeding heart for literally every living thing since I was a kid, and even as a kid, I like when I first understood that like my favorite food, chicken nuggets, were chickens. Yeah. It was so hard, and I feel like I'm like inching my way, but yeah, I would love to hear you speak more to like how you got there to making the choice to be vegan.
Yeah. Well, in this case, like just like I had always been, I kind of been ambivalent about it, and I had like weird mixed feelings about it, similar since I was a little kid. Like I was always a little grossed out by it, even though the food items themselves, when they're disembodied into Big Macs or whatever, fish sticks. Especially if you're young, growing up, you're like, this is fucking delicious.
Yeah.
And then you become conditioned.
And it's like a treat, too.
Yeah. You get acclimated to eating
it's
all
okay
these...
to eat fish. They don't have any feelings.
Right, exactly. Especially growing up in the 70s and 80s America, obviously junk food and without any awareness of even health on any level, you end up just like a normal person, just being conditioned to enjoy all of those foods, and in generally there's like thousands of years of tradition of people fucking eating animals. And so, of course, it's understandable that people would become, and also like within certain cultures, obviously, food is this organizing principle where people actually celebrate around all these like food conceptualized like long term, like not ancient but very old school tradition. So, with that in mind, like that just has to be acknowledged, But I think what I would say to answer your question is that like I'd always had kind of slightly mixed feelings about it, and then like in my 30s and 40s, like. I started just to kind of put it together on a kind of an unconscious level, and it started my ability to be able to abstract like what the thing itself was out of mind, just started to kind of like fray a little bit, and also the thing is that like in a way I was kind of on an unconscious level. I think I was probably like trying to like generally like to your point. In a way, I was kind of like naturally sort of on an unconscious level was moving towards that because there are some moral principles that I actually was probably on a sort of a psychic and a kind of a moral, psychological level was actually gravitating towards trying to align with my actual moral principles about it, In this case, like there was a couple of times, this was like ages ago when I was on the dating apps. Like I met a woman who she was like, in her profile, she says, I ended up chatting with her and she's like, yeah, I won't date anybody that's not a vegan. And I was like, huh, only because I wasn't offended. I was just like, oh, wow, only because it made me really think about it. And then it's been almost 8 years. This is in the summer of 2017. I ended up watching a documentary just randomly, and it wasn't even about, it wasn't an animal rights documentary. It was just about big pharma, and they work in cahoots with the big meat industries. And it just something clicked for me. Something shifted for me, and I had a moral epiphany in that moment. That was on July 22nd, 2017. And like, it was like
a date. I love
literally like if something. Wow. It was like honestly, it was like it wasn't like I'm going to try this. It was like I'm done.
Like there's no other option now. It sounds like it's like this.
Respect, like when you go when at least in my case. If you end up deciding to go vegan for more reasons, it's much easier because it's just like, it's not even an option. There's no like, there's no like, there's no wriggle room,
Right.
But in this case, like the basic heart, basic connection of empathy that you would have towards a dog or a cat or another person. It's like, it's not that complicated. If you love animals, killing animals is not morally, is not morally congruent with eating them. Like loving animals is not congruent with killing them.
It isn't.
On a basic level, there are brothers and sisters. In many cases, our ancestors have been around for way longer than us. And like in general, like I don't know, the whole thing is like, it was like having a spiritual awakening. Mm-hmm. I fucking love it so much. I can't even. I'm so grateful every day. It's like most people all will tell you how wonderful and how amazing it is. And like, it's also not difficult. You can get all the protein. All that shit's fucking nonsense.
Yeah.
It's like, it's really actually, it's also not more expensive. That's bullshit.
Can we talk about like, okay.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, there you go.
No. I want to talk about another component of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because personally, I think that like when people say, "Oh, it's natural," I'm like, all of the natural things that humans do are not very impressive to me. Anything that I'm generally impressed with is like post-natural human, but like naturalists, they would say that eating meat, omnivores by skeleton and whatever other things that scientists grade that by, and it was a huge development on how we became like out of the wild, you know what I mean? Because we had more food, we had a longer life, we were like getting richer nutrients. And I believe that maybe the future is not that, but not because we don't need the nutrients, but because we can make the choice not to.
Yeah, that's not the future. That's the present. It's got to be the present.
Well, right, but I mean, I mean,
just quickly,
okay,
just the whole thing about like obligate carnivores, tigers. Like, of course, yes, we were opportunistic. We ate meat opportunistically as our animal, our humanoid ape ancestors. Like, and so the truth is that like while tens of thousands of years ago, hundreds of thousands of years ago, in terms of the advent of cooking, even in human culture, the truth is that like it's irrelevant. It doesn't fucking matter. You can't. It's like first of all, there's a lot of things that people do that are natural or traditional that are fucking abominable. This is one of them. Like, yeah, right. It's like just because something is natural it's not a blanket moral justification for it. There's a lot of examples you can come up with that, or just immediately like renders that a ludicrous.
Well, I have heard people. Okay, please forgive me, God, but like sometimes I listen to people talk about things that they don't necessarily know about, and sometimes they say stuff that makes sense, like eating meat made us like bigger brains, bigger.
It doesn't. It's the moral justification that can't be transposed into a moral justification for the factory farm system. It doesn't matter at all. It has zero moral relevance whatsoever.
And it's like, even if that's true, it's not currently. It's like, okay, cool. Praise for that time of evolution for us. Great.
Also just to bear in mind, none of these people, anybody that like the idea that it's natural, it's like these people are the people that are going and buying it at the fucking supermarket. If you're going to kill a chicken or a cow by yourself, first of all, like there's a huge there's a huge record of data that suggests that the people that work in slaughterhouse cultures are traumatized by it. Now, it's another thing, obviously, for people on farms, obviously, and there's a much longer tradition of animal husbandry and stuff, where people end up acclimating to the murder of the killing of animals. At the same time, that's also morally questionable. It's not like that's not a bulletproof human behavioral like a phenomena either. It's not universally accepted as being something that necessarily is able to be metabolized psychologically and behaviorally. But first of all, everybody that's talking about like our ancestors, they're going to the supermarket. Yeah. If you're going to kill the animal yourself, the existential onus of killing the animal with your own hands, not with a gun, and not even with a fucking bow and arrow. If you're going to go, it's like no one is going to go kill a cow with their bare hands. Like, so the whole thing about this romanticization of like the natural, our ancestors it's fucking nonsense. It's a.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I was just playing grievance lawyer or something.
But that's what happens. You're speaking to like all of the things that like people rest on so that they can have their.
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge amount of rhetorical like rebuttals to the thing, but they're all like honestly, they're all fucking. They can all be debunked in my view, like within like minutes. They're all so flimsy because they basically it's like like. Anybody, I think instinctively, and people know it's wrong, and they play all these kind of they do all these moral and rhetorical gymnastics to justify the whole thing. When on a basic level, on a basic intuitive level, like if you were a child, you'd be like, "Don't do it."
Okay. All right. I'm sorry, Timo, but I'm gonna go here. Okay. Because you revealed something to me, and I thank you for that. But like, and earlier on in this episode, it's like autism, right? Like, okay, so something that happened when I was let in on that I might be a member of the tribe in more ways than one, right? That I was like, oh, maybe it's me. Maybe I actually just like I have different feelings. But maybe my world is actually different. And actually, I've always kind of felt like if somebody could provide good enough evidence, then I would believe them that I was in a delusion. Even if it still felt that way to me, like if what they were saying to me made sense, I can be convinced I live in a delusion, totally. And I've always felt a pretty weak grasp on things.
Well, I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I want to hear what you have to say, in addition to that, tell me, have you considered that, like, when you say, I think that people are kidding themselves, immediately I'm like, yeah, of course they are. Of course they are. But also, what if it's you?
It's not. It's both. It's neither. It's not that binary. Of course, the vegan critique is not universally applicable. You have to really nuance the shit out of it. In general, the animal agriculture industry is abominable. It's radically evil. It's abhorrent. It traumatizes people. It kills hundreds of billions of animals every year. It's acidifying the ocean. We are destroying the earth doing it. And it's also, known to be generally terrible for human health. Now, however, for example, like obligate hunters, people that are out, there are still like the remaining hunter-gatherer societies that live on Earth right now. This vegan critique is not aimed at them. Mm-hmm. It's not meant as this ultra universalizing, just oversimplifying, moralizing critique, holier than thou. It's not that. It's basic. If you learn anything about it at all, you would have to be like, you would want to reduce or eliminate the industry and also one's material participation of it to the degree to which you can over time.
Yeah, right.
Like, and so in that respect, what I was considering the same way that, like, I don't think, I mean, someone else could say, like, well, you know what? Subjectively, I think murder is okay. In that respect, like, to your point, like, it's not just me. I have moral convictions that are going to, I'm going to very unequivocally advocate for, based on my moral beliefs, and not have them get mushed into this relativistic mush of relativism of like subjectivity, because rape and murder are wrong.
Yeah.
Sorry, like, no, it is you. Like, whatever. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, so yes. Also, and as I'm asking you out these questions, I'm really kind of answering this scenario in a broader sense. Okay, so like walk me through this.
Yeah.
That also, who are you trying to convince? Like you're convinced.
I don't see him trying to convince. Like we invited him into this conversation.
I'm not like I'm not fronting.
No, I know, but I just like why? Because I know I understand that you're asking a real question, and also this is a thing that vegans get all the time, where it's like, oh, you're just mad and trying to convince everybody, and like I just yeah.
No, in the same way. Well, in this case, like the thing about this is what I would say. It's like, basically, like making the moral, actually, I mean this literally. This is not some, like, if you happen to, for whatever convergence of circumstances, arrive at the moral embodied realization that you actually like that these sentient creatures who've been eating the corpses, supporting the giant industries that support the mass murder, the genocidal mass murder of our entire lives, and waking up and realizing that you wake up into a world where you have a visceral sense of like, it's like waking up into a world where everyone eats fucking babies. And that's, there is a learning, there's an emotional learning curve generally for vegans. The truth is, obviously there's a legitimate basis for the reason why people regard vegans as being shrill.
If you wake up and everybody's a baby eater, then you're like, what the fuck? What world of monsters am I living in?
Yeah, exactly. I get it. I'm a sociopath. I'm also a fucking sociopath. And so in this case, like what I would say is like, this is this semi-humorous way of framing that I came up with. The skills required, the kind of training that would be required for newborn vegans not to come across as being pedantic or, self-righteous or too shrill, have nothing to do with veganism. They would have to do with extensive fucking mind training, like really serious Buddhist meditation, to the point where you can actually like choose your battles and realize that basically that just because someone's not a vegan doesn't mean that they're not a bad person. They're just subject to the multiple lifetimes of conditioning, and also themselves have straight up somatic, psychological, cultural, and somatic relationships with the foods themselves. And I can tell you just something, it's like waking up into a world where everyone's a fucking addict, and that's the truth. And like, as also, not only as a former like meat-loving, cheese-loving addict, but also as a former addict, like a drug and a substance abuse person in recovery for many years now. The chemicals that are released when you eat meat and cheese and bread and those foods are super powerful. Like eating a fucking bacon cheeseburger is like getting high. You get a huge somatic rush from eating these foods. It's fucking true. Whatever,
It's fucking A.
Combined with all the, combined with the conditioning, combined with the culture, combined with all of the really basically smug and hateful and nasty trolling that vegans get, it's so easy just to pile on, it also makes it like it makes people defensive, and like rightfully defensive, because of course you're actually threatening, in a way you're questioning some foundational set of principles about their entire life, which of course anybody that does that, especially if they're being kind of obnoxious, it's gonna fucking
Oh, well, you just opened the door big time with me, because now we're back to where we learned with Ms. Queen Moore, who, by the way, please be following her. She is like teaching people how to protest taxes and protest the government. She's just really something else. She's a Brooklynite as well as you, Timo. And anyway, something that she was telling us was, that the Jesus story, it's founded on a woman being raped. No matter which way you look at it, she was a child and she was non-consensually knocked up by either a man and lied about it, or by a god who still decided to fuck a small child in a barn and make her bear a child that then became everybody else's miracle. And as we walked this idea out, right? I know.
Yeah,
right?
It's ridiculous.
And as we walked this idea out, and then we realized, like, like, you know, these like rules and cultural these cultures are formed like giving excuses for somebody's bad behavior to come, right? Like we if God can be rape, or if a woman that bears God can be a rape victim, then like deal with it, kids. You can like that's just the way things go. If we eat turkey for Thanksgiving, you know, like, are you willing to call your dad a murderer?
Did. It's
right?
because it's in our nature.
Right.
Like it's
and,
the same.
And then we're talking about sexual assault in the family and stuff like that. Like all of these things that become sacred. Like if you believe that 90% of women have been raped or sexually assaulted, then you know what that means? That means that 95% of your dads are
some
rapists.
rapists.
and you love them and you care about them. And that's a hard fucking pill to swallow. And so like in the same sense that I'm, you know, and this is my hill that I die on, right, Timo? But in the exact same way, like once you come around to this once I was able to accept that, like, okay, yeah, sure, I go around saying believe women, but then if I quantify that and I say like, wait a second, every woman I know has been raped. What does
like
that mean? What does that really fucking mean?
Yes, yeah.
What is the consequence of that? That means if I'm not raping them, then everybody is raping them. The people I love, the people I respect, my heroes.
Humans are super rapey.
So much so.
Yeah.
Right. And just like eating meat, that's what they say. It's like, well, it's been going on forever.
It's like in our nature, you know. And I think I'm really glad you brought this up, Craig, because I was thinking, Timo, as you were talking about the epiphany that it sounds like a lot of vegans have, which again, I feel like I'm like close to the precipice of course, it's like coming out of a cult. Of course, that's all you want to talk about. Again, it's like when the light is shone on a thing, of course, like that's all you want to talk about. That's all you're reading about. That's all you're learning about. And it's like you want other people to have that. Like so again, that's why I'm glad you brought up the Queen episode, Craig, because I have absolutely had my moments of that, especially like as a baby feminist when I was like 19, you know, like left home for the first time, like exposed to different ideas. And I'm like, oh my does everybody know this? That like I wasn't the problem. Like it was like I was born into a body and all this violence was done on me, and that like I was blamed for, you know. And I think I had lots of years where I was probably pretty obnoxious, although right. But I think it's this thing of again of like the clarity, the thing that comes with the clarity of seeing
that's right,
the truth.
Yeah.
Of course it's gonna like that's all you want to talk about and see, like, do you get it? Am I alone? You know, like am I alone here? Can we all
I was gonna say I was connecting to so much of this. Yeah, hi.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
But I mean,
Producer Chris, everybody.
Exactly, like connecting to what you're saying, Mallory, but I had a very similar experience of like identifying or be self-reflecting that like I was the annoying like militant 19-year-old atheist. Like but to that point, you know, it's like similar stereotype, like, oh, how do you know? Shut up about it. It's like, but I think the other part that
Chris, wait, Chris, your mic is going in and out a little bit.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Carry on.
Oh, no, I want to hear what you have to say. I don't want it to. Yeah, your mic. I don't know if it's like on your end or our end.
Not there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Not there.
It's live TV.
But I think where we were was a really interesting thing. And as Mallory, you were speaking, this God, I hate to say this out loud, but these are kind of the conversations that we have here, and so this isn't how I act, but this is what I'm thinking right now to get to how I act. how many of these truths can I bear? I honestly, I'm getting emotional
Craig,
just thinking about it. Like, how many epiphanies can I have? It's actually like a lot to like to ostracize everybody that you think is just like, just let them live. Just let them live, right? but
absolutely not.
Okay, yeah. There we go.
I mean, of course, I'm not like some avatar of purity, and I'm also not insane, and I'm also like middle aged. So at the same time, I would say, of course, obviously, that you have to be able to.
So am I, and thank you for not noticing.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, that, like, yeah, there's a level of, kind of conviction, like, that you might have about something that actually resonates in your fucking being in a way that actually going like, oh no, these are non-negotiable, where other things don't resonate that deeply or whatever, for whatever complex of reasons. My thing, at least for me personally, it's like, I don't really want to harden ever. I'd rather have epiphanies over and over again, just break open, and actually change over and over again, and like lose all of my conditioning, especially if it regards like having to block out the horrors of the world. So, like, I just don't want to do that.
Well, I think that for me, it's Craig, I hear you, because with the epiphanies do come like some really hard choices and figuring out like what this means for your relationships and like the setup of your life. Like,
that's right.
That is like a fucking workout to the max. Like it's like weightlifting. It is no hard thing. And also, as somebody who's done a great deal of this, it saved my life. That like I would much rather do the work of having the truth known in my body and figuring out what to do with it than working it way harder to ignore it, which was like killing my body, which was like killing me.
It'll give you a fucking disease. It'll make you sick.
Literally, yes.
Yeah,
it does make me sick.
Well, again, like that's where like a lot of pain comes from in your body, like gut health, like everything is connected to how like much we squash, and like these things are all so connected. And for me, the biggest like tell is my body. The more I let the epiphanies and the truth land, the less migraines I have, the less like ill I feel.
Yeah, and like
I'd much rather that than.
Can I just quickly add, like, to your point, Craig? It's like, and at the same time, like, yes, of course, not one's. It depends. Obviously, it depends on the sort of the belief and also your person, and they're in the range of people in any one person's life. But in some cases, of course, you're going to be like, I may or may not want to blow up my life and become a total pariah based on my fucking moral beliefs. At the same time, I'm certainly going to have to declare what my principles are and set those boundaries and let it be known for the rest of my fucking earthly life, and not just be like, yeah, whatever. Also, and one thing I want to add is like the whole ethos of personal choice. Personal choice is not necessarily sacrosanct if it involves killing someone else. I'm sorry. Like that's the like to what the whole thing about like what you're talking about. So just briefly before you got cut off about militant atheism. You can argue about that and maybe be vocal or obnoxious about it, but that's just taking place within your own mind. You're not actually materially supporting a system that's just killing someone. Not something, someone. And so in that respect, like I think the moral calculus.
Okay. Forgive me. I shouldn't. I don't want to just walk past that. Someone. I want to correct myself. That was actually like disrespectful of me to say.
No. I mean, it's normal. I'm not sweating for it. I'm just saying that's one of those things.
Not to you.
And language is important. I actually really appreciate that. Like language, the language we use is important. It actually is helpful in getting people to see the truth. Again, it's not something, it's someone.
That's right. It's a I have to say, I won't obviously can go on about this because I'm very passionate about it, but the same way that you would there's no moral or existential difference on any level between a cow and a dog. That's all prescribed by culture. It's all just indoctrination. There's laws protecting against animal cruelty. You can go to jail for just kicking a dog. Meanwhile, there's actually like these giant systems that are mass murdering hundreds of billions of cows, pigs, and chickens and fish, and destroying the ecosystem and cutting down the fucking Amazon rainforest just so we can have 5 seconds of sense pleasure at the expense of the life of someone who would have rather lived. It's as simple as that. It is not any more complicated than that.
That makes it actually, though, that makes it feel pretty simple.
I mean, it's to be fair, and also just to be, I think, realistic and not like a totally dogmatic about it. Obviously, it's a process, and like some people are closer to it, some people might never get there. At the best case scenario, it's just to have, I believe, the moral courage and also the open-mindedness just to look. It's just to have enough of an open heart to be like, well, maybe I've been wrong. Maybe I don't know exactly, or everything I've thought my whole life is maybe, it's not as solid. It's not as morally coherent or as stable as I thought. And like in that respect, like I'm gonna say honestly, just as a person, someone that would be the tenor of how I would try to talk to someone in real life, as opposed to just shaming them or whatever, because it doesn't fucking work. It just doesn't work. But it does feel good though.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Is my mic any better?
Yeah, it might be. Go on. Okay. Go on, Chris. Go off.
Well, yeah, I think that's kind of the gist of the point that I was trying to get at earlier. Is the conversation is already so framed, within the norm that, we can start talking about religion and somebody can bring me into the conversation. And just by simply stating where I stand on things, it may be seen as militant or, aggressive or right. And I imagine with this conversation, it's similar, like simply stating your position on the matter.
Well, it is.
People take it personally.
They take it personally. They take it as an offense. They take it as they're told they're wrong, right? Which you may be stating those things, but not in a way to
it is.
Wait, Craig, when you say it is, like a vegan saying they're vegan, how is that at somebody?
Well, I feel like I'm not agreeing with the sentiment. What I'm saying is that like that is the feeling.
Oh, right. I hear you.
I can say even internally when I have been like, okay, I'm actually going vegan this year or at this moment because I can't stand the guilt anymore. And I know, I mean, I am one of those people, truth be told, Timo, I have known since I have been waking that it was insane to eat an animal.
Your heart is still alive.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's like 100% obvious to me. And I have gone no meat before and then fallen off the wagon and whatever. And this is serious, as silly as it sounds, and I don't know how silly it sounds because I haven't said it out loud before, but it always comes back to matzo ball soup. I feel very connected, and I know it sounds silly, but this is serious. It's something that's like so connective to me, to my I grew up as a secular Jew that barely knew I was a Jew until I got beaten up by being a Jew, and they burned a swastika in my yard, So like, I the only connection to my culture, to like the culture, and I was an American Jew in the Bible Belt, so I celebrated Christmas. My fourth grade teacher knew more about Hanukkah than I did, and but matzo ball soup, like. That I feel the culture. I feel like something that I'm connected to. I know how to stew it. I know the way that it made my grandmother's house smell. I know that it made the way that it made my parents' house smell. And I can't imagine a life without passing that on, or like it being like the witch's brew that like I can make, the potion. I mean, it was literally Jewish penicillin. That's what they would call it as a joke around my house, And so I not to defend that, but what I'm saying is that like even when I say to myself, okay, I'm going all the way in, And then I say to myself, all the way in means you're never making another 2-day matzo ball soup stew. And my heart breaks and I say, well, I'll cheat on that. And then I'm like, well, that seems insane. That seems really insane if you're like, well, just murder on this day. But I definitely believe that it's murder. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was going to say, I mean, I don't want to be, of course, I get it. This is one of the pitfalls, in a way, it's one of the challenges, in general, one of the types of predicaments that people like in so many different ways end up in, if as they begin or even like start to kind of inch towards making this kind of a transition. The truth is, you can make a matzo ball soup that evokes the same feelings without those products. You can do it, and you can actually trick your mind into being like, oh, I thought those things, they're not as important as you think to the effect.
Do you believe in magic? Do you believe in ritual?
Yeah, generally, yes, completely, yes.
Okay, so do you believe in like like I do too. It definitely, in the sense, like I've been lucky enough to be invited into some pretty sacred places as they were doing these ritualistic like offerings, and no meat, but and no death. But my point is that the ritual of the ingredient, the reach back into time and like pulling it out with provenance, and we spoke about this with our good friend. Go watch this episode with Andrew Berardini, an art critic, that we were talking about, like, is it art until somebody has like written about it, right? Is it the artifact, or is it the practitioner that puts it behind glass? And there's a lot of conversations that we had about that. Like a lot of those bones, they're just like carvings of wood. You know what I mean? But they've always been saint bones, and they have performed miracles for people in people's life because they believed it to be such. And I guess what I'm saying is that, like, I feel a very specific thing about, and I know it's a mind fuck, but how you reaching into like a history of culture, you're doing something the exact same way that somebody did 2,000 years ago, and that feels somewhat significant.